Hello, everybody. Math 8, Quarter 1, Week 5, lesson plans. Let's go right into Week 5 and Math 8, Quarter 1, Week 5. PowerPoint edition, and you got your MP4, your video editions as well. Name date here, students, so you have I know you've received your lesson plans. Let's go right into page 1 here of Math 8 Quarter 1 Week 5. And during Week 5, what we cover is 8.8 classwork, Systems of Linear Equations Part 2, and then 8.8 homework, Systems of Linear Equations Part 2. And then we go to 8.9 classwork, graphs of linear inequalities. So we start getting inequalities here on Week 5, Part 1. And then 8.9 homework, graphs of linear inequalities, Part 1. And then we go 8.9 classwork, graphs of linear inequalities, Part 2. And then 8.9 homework, graphs of linear inequalities, Part 2. And then we have a 8.9/6.6 classwork, solve the system of linear inequalities. And then we got that's the classwork, and then we have a classwork part 2. So we have the two classwork part 2s of 8.9, solve the system of linear inequalities. Then the standards for Week 5 we'll get into, and then we have 8.9, solve system of linear inequalities quiz, part 1A. And now our standards for Week 5 are, we have Common Core 8.EE.C.8a, graphical solutions to system of equations, cover that. And then Common Core 9 through 12, A.REI.12, graph the solutions to a linear inequality in two variables as a half plane, excluding the boundary in the case of a strict inequality. So we cover strict inequalities here. And then graph the solution set to a system of linear inequalities in two variables as the intersection of the corresponding half planes. So it gets technical. We start to get real technical graphing here in Week 5. And then our intro here is understand that solutions to a system of two linear equations and two variables correspond to points of intersection of their graphs because points of intersection satisfy both equations simultaneously. And then our learning targets are recognize that the intersection of two lines represents a common solution, graph two linear equations on the same coordinate plane, and then interpret an ordered pair solution to the context of a real-world situation. So we get into story problems, word problems here that contain these standards. Resources and materials, animated PowerPoints, and MP4 versions of lessons, classwork, homework, quiz, tests, worksheets, activities, tasks. All class worksheets are closed exercise from PowerPoints or videos, homework, quizzes, and test assignments available online with the corrections provided after submission dates. Access for all, available in over 100 languages. Available online 24/7, closed caption for hearing impaired, audio for sight impaired. And so we have 144 points of classwork, 37 points of note-taking, 279 points of homework, 80 points in quizzes, and that comes out to a 540 points for week 5. And then modifications, accommodations for week 5, Math 8, quarter 1, available online via Google Classroom interface. That is grades, classwork, homework, quizzes, tests, Zoom tutoring on request. And then our first lesson in week 5 is a continuation of 8.8 classwork. Or rather, yeah, it's classwork. Okay, classwork. We got 20 points here in classwork for 8.8. Systems of linear equations, and this covers standards 8.EE.8A, and then 8.EE.8C, solving systems graphically, and then 8.8 part 2 homework, which is 91 points there of homework, systems of linear equations. And then we go into 8.9. 8.9, part 1 classwork is 36 points. And then we have 20 points of note-taking for 8.9, graphs of linear inequalities. And then we have all these standards here. We have 9 through 12, 8A, point SSE, point 2, which is solving linear inequalities, and then linear inequalities in 2 variables. That's Common Core 9 through 12A, point REI, point 1.2. So these are actually some 9th grade standards in here. So you're getting a heads up for 9th grade here. And part 1 homework for 8.9, 78 points of homework for 8.9. And then we go to 8.9 part 2 classwork. Okay, so that is 26 points of classwork for 8.9, graphs of linear inequalities part 2. And then our homework for 8.9 is we got 110 points of homework for 8.9, graphs of linear inequalities. That's huge homework assignment there. And then we go continuing on here in week 5. We go into now 6.6. 6.6 classwork part 1, systems of equations and inequalities. And then our standard for this is 9 through 12 Common Core, 9 through 12A, REI, point 1.2, graph the linear inequality. So it's graphing linear inequalities, including the boundary of one plane and the boundary of the other, and where they intersect provides a solution for the half planes of 2 inequalities. Oh yeah, and there's 15 points here of note-taking for 6.6 part 1, and then we do 6.6 part 2, solve systems of linear inequalities. Classwork, we go right into classwork part 2, 38 points for part 2 of classwork, and then 2 points of note-taking. And then we finally go into our homework here for 6.6. I guess it's a homework quiz. Okay, so we go into a homework quiz for 6.6 here. And that's 66 points here. No, it's not. It's 80 points. So we have 80 points here. It's a 6.6 quiz. So it's like a homework quiz here for 6.6. And animate PowerPoint math video at AL.com for questions, course materials. Thank you very much.